The moment my life changed forever wasn't one I saw coming. It wasn't the kind of shift you prepare for, the kind you sense creeping up on you. No, this was the kind that hit like a freight train in the dead of night, sudden, merciless, and completely unforgiving. That evening had been nothing out of the ordinary. I'd spent the entire day drowning in legal documents, my eyes burning from staring at pages filled with endless clauses and technical jargon. My phone had buzzed a few times. Lisa, my wife, had sent a couple of texts about going out for a girls' night. I hadn't responded. Not because I didn't care, but because my brain had been too fried to form a coherent sentence. For 3 relentless years, I had clawed my way up the corporate law firm ladder, sacrificing sleep, time, and sanity for a case that could propel my career to heights I had only dreamed of. By the time I finally glanced at the clock, it was past midnight. With a tired sigh, I gathered my things and headed home, eager for nothing more than a few precious hours of rest. The second I pulled into the driveway, something felt off. The house was dark, unusually quiet. Lisa wasn't the type to call it an early night, but a strange stillness clung to the air, a silence that pressed against my skin. The kind that set every nerve on edge. Then I saw them. Flashing lights. Red and blue sliced through the darkness, reflecting against the windows like sharp, unforgiving blades. At first, I thought there had been an accident nearby. But then I noticed them, 4 police officers standing in my driveway. One of them stepped forward, his expression unreadable. James Monroe. I frowned, stepping out of my car. Yeah, turn around. Hands where we can see them. I let out a breathless chuckle, assuming, just for a second, that this had to be some bizarre misunderstanding. I'm a lawyer, for God's sake, I said, my mind scrambling to catch up with reality. I know my rights. What's this about? The officer didn't answer. Another stepped forward, grabbing my wrists and yanking them behind my back. Cold metal snapped around them. Handcuffs. Real ones. What the hell is going on? My voice rose, panic flaring in my chest like a wildfire. I twisted, trying to get a glimpse of their faces, of some clue as to why this was happening. I'm a corporate attorney. You can't just. James Monroe, you are under arrest for fraud and identity theft. You have the right to remain silent. Fraud? Identity theft? A laugh, small, incredulous, escaped my lips. You've got the wrong guy. This is ridiculous. Then I heard it. Laughter. Not from the officers. Not from me. From her. I turned my head sharply, my pulse hammering in my ears. Lisa stood on the porch, wine glass in hand, her face lit up with amusement. Beside her, her friends giggled, one of them even pulling out her phone, recording as if this were some kind of sick joke. Oh my God, Lisa wheezed between fits of laughter. You should see your face. She doubled over, clutching her stomach. Priceless. Absolutely priceless. I went completely still. You. The word barely made it past my lips. Lisa, what the hell is this? She wiped at her eyes, still breathless from laughing. It's just a prank, baby. Her friends clapped and cheered. Mia, her childhood best friend, smirked, sipping her drink. You're a lawyer, right? Let's see if you can talk your way out of this one. The officers weren't laughing. They weren't in on it. One continued reading me my rights. Another pulled out what looked like a warrant. Reality slammed into me, hard and unforgiving. Lisa, I said, my voice low, deadly calm. Tell them it's a joke. She waved a hand, still giggling. Relax, James. I'll clear it up in the morning. You'll be back before breakfast. That was the moment it hit me. She didn't understand. She had no idea what she had just done. This wasn't a harmless prank. It wasn't a surprise party or a scare caught on camera. This was a felony. She had lied to the police. Fabricated evidence. Given them just enough to have me arrested. And these officers? They weren't playing along. They were just doing their jobs. My heart pounded violently against my ribs as they shoved me into the back of the police cruiser. Through the window, I could still see Lisa on the porch, wine glass in hand, shaking her head as if I was the one overreacting. She had no idea. No idea that by the time morning came, there wouldn't be any laughing. I locked eyes with Lisa one last time. She was still grinning, still laughing, as if this was nothing more than some elaborate joke. But I wasn't laughing, because I understood something she didn't. She had just destroyed her own life. This wasn't fate. It wasn't coincidence. It was a warning. I stepped onto the stage, adjusted the microphone, and let my gaze settle on her for just a moment before I spoke. The weight of the moment pressed against my chest, but I stood tall, steady. I wasn't always a judge. I began, my voice composed, unwavering. Once I was just a man, a fool, really. A man who believed in love. A man who put his trust in the wrong person. The crowd leaned in, hungry for the story. The kind of story that clings to the air, thick with consequence. Lisa's face drained of color. I let my voice drop an octave, the edges of my words razor sharp. One night, that person betrayed me in the worst way imaginable. They humiliated me, framed me, laughed as I was led away in handcuffs. Silence. Thick absolute. I let the pause stretch, savoring the moment. Then a slow, knowing smile curved my lips. But in the end, I continued, drawing out the words they lost. The tension was suffocating. The weight of truth settled over the room like a dense fog. Lisa took a stumbling step backward, her face contorted with realization. The truth was unraveling around her, thread by thread, and she was powerless to stop it. Everyone in that room understood. She had just become the punchline of my victory speech. And the best part, no one even knew her name. She was no longer important. Just another face in the crowd. And me? I had won. She didn't leave right away. Lisa lingered at the edges of the event, waiting. Watching. Searching for an opening, a chance to speak to me. She hovered in the background, eyes darting across the room, her breath uneven. She wanted a moment alone, a sliver of time to say something. Anything that might undo the damage. When the night was nearly over, she got what she wanted. I let her have it. Not because I cared to hear her out, but because I wanted to see for myself just how broken she had become. She reached for my hand, a ghost of the woman she used to be, as if I were still the man she had once called her husband. Her fingers trembled, hesitant, as if she feared I might disappear before she spoke. "James," she whispered, voice frail. I don't even know where to begin." I raised an eyebrow, expression unreadable. "You don't." She swallowed hard. "I was reckless. Selfish. I never meant for things to go that far. You have to believe me." A quiet chuckle slipped past my lips. "Believe you?" I echoed, tilting my head. "Why?" She flinched at the coldness in my voice. I stepped closer, close enough to watch her breath hitch. Her eyes, wide and pleading, searched mine for something. Understanding, forgiveness, maybe even the faintest trace of the man who once loved her. "I gave you a life most people only dream of," I murmured, my voice eerily calm. "And you threw it away. You laughed while you did it. And somehow you thought I'd come back." Tears welled in her eyes, glistening under the dim lighting. "I thought." She hesitated, her voice barely a whisper. "I thought I was young and impulsive." Her throat bobbed as she swallowed against the emotion clawing its way to the surface. "I thought you would forgive me." "You thought I would forgive you," I said, finishing the sentence for her. She nodded, almost desperate now. I leaned in, just close enough to watch her shiver. And then, with the same quiet finality that had sealed her fate all those years ago, I spoke the words that shattered whatever was left of her. "Lisa," I said, my voice steady, "I don't forgive you. I saw it happen, the precise moment the last flicker of hope died in her eyes." She finally understood. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't seeking revenge. I was simply done. And that was worse than anything she had imagined. Without another word, I turned and walked away. I never looked back. Lisa stood there, frozen, speechless, for the first time in her life. And that was the last time I ever saw her. Because Lisa was already gone. She just hadn't realized it yet.